There's something quiet that happens to all of us as we grow. A shift so subtle, you barely notice it. When you're small, love feels simple. It's given freely, a hand holding yours, a voice saying, "I'm proud of you." You don't think about deserving it. You just exist, and that's enough. But somewhere along the way, that changes. You start to notice when love is withheld. When affection comes with conditions. When your worth starts to depend on performance, grades, behavior, beauty, success. And without realizing it, you begin to adjust. You start learning the art of becoming who others need you to be. Not out of deceit, but out of survival. We learn to earn what once came naturally. We laugh when we're not happy. We agree when we don't mean it. We shrink ourselves to fit the spaces others make for us. And each time we do, a small piece of our real self goes quiet. Waiting somewhere inside, hoping one day to be remembered. The tragedy is that this change doesn't happen with pain. It happens with love. Because when you love people who only love certain parts of you, you begin to offer only those parts. You start to believe that love is something fragile. Something you could lose by being too honest, too emotional, too different. And that's when the losing begins. Not the kind of loss you can see. The quiet kind, the one that lives behind the smile. Behind the constant need to prove you're worth staying for. Maybe that's how so many of us forget who we are. We were too busy trying to be loved. It starts small. A compliment when you behave a certain way. A frown when you don't. You learn the rules of affection without anyone ever saying them out loud. You realize that being loved means being predictable. And so you practice. You smooth your rough edges. You hide your loud thoughts. You start curating yourself, the way someone arranges flowers in a vase. Only the prettiest ones, only what fits. You learn how to become easy to love. But the easier you become, the less real you feel. Because the self that people approve of isn't you. It's a version built from tiny compromises. You tell yourself, it's okay, at least they care. But love that requires constant editing isn't love. It's management. It's a quiet performance that never ends. And when you live like that long enough, you begin to confuse peace with silence. You start believing that being accepted means never causing discomfort. Never saying no. Never asking for more. But what if love was never meant to be something you earn? What if love, real love, can only begin where the pretending ends? There's a moment when love begins to feel like a test. You start to notice how quickly warmth can turn cold. One mistake, one wrong word, and the distance appears. So you start walking carefully. Like love is a fragile bridge that might collapse under too much truth. Rejection doesn't just hurt, it rewires. Your mind begins to predict it before it happens. You hear silence and call it anger. You see someone busy and call it abandonment. Your body learns to flinch at affection. Because affection never felt safe for long. And so you begin to trade honesty for safety. You say, "I'm fine," when you're breaking. You smile when you want to cry. And the more you do it, the more invisible you become. Not because no one sees you, but because you've learned to hide in plain sight. But hiding doesn't keep you safe. It just keeps you alone. Pretending feels peaceful, at first. You convince yourself that harmony is worth the silence. But the cost keeps rising. Because every time you hide your truth, you make the space inside smaller. You start editing your laughter, your opinions, your dreams. You become a quieter version of yourself. There's a strange sadness in realizing that the person everyone loves isn't really you. They love the calm, the agreeable, the easy. But the real you, the messy, passionate, unpredictable one, is still waiting behind the curtain. And the longer you keep them hidden, the more you forget what their voice sounds like. Love becomes a performance, where you play the same roles so long, you forget how to step off the stage. But real connection can happen between an actor and an audience. It only happens when two people are willing to be seen, without costumes, without scripts. Love is supposed to reflect truth. But when you love from fear, It reflects only the parts you allow. Every relationship becomes a mirror. And if you stand before it wearing a mask, you'll never know how you truly look. That's why some people can be surrounded by affection and still feel unseen. Because the love they receive is aimed at their disguise, not at the person beneath it. To be truly loved is terrifying. It means surrendering control. It means risking rejection for the sake of authenticity. But it's also the only way to ever feel at home in someone else's heart. There's a moment, usually quiet, when the exhaustion catches up. You realize you've been chasing love by abandoning yourself. You look around and see how far you've drifted from your own center. And you whisper something small but sacred. I miss me. That's where healing begins. Not with a new person, not with external validation, but with remembering who you were before love became a transaction. You start reclaiming the simple things. Your voice, your laughter, your solitude. You stop apologizing for existing too loudly. You learn that boundaries aren't rejection. They're protection. And in that rediscovery, you start meeting yourself the way you once wanted others to meet you. With gentleness, patience, and awe. When you finally stop trying to be loved, you start to feel love differently. It stops being something to chase and becomes something you share. Quietly, naturally, without demand. The right people will not be scared of your depth. They will not need your silence to feel comfortable. They will see the real you and think, there you are. And in that recognition, you'll understand what love was always meant to be. Not a prize for perfection, but a meeting of honesty and grace. You'll stop begging for space in someone else's story and begin writing your own. You'll realize that losing yourself for love was never love at all. It was fear wearing tenderness as disguise. And maybe one day, when someone asks how you found peace, you'll smile and say, I stopped needing to be chosen. I chose myself. Because the love you give yourself is the one that teaches others how to meet you. And once you've remembered your worth, you'll never lose yourself again. In the name of being loved,